Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and today we got to see the very first teaser trailer for Rambo Last Blood, the fifth in the Rambo series that started back in 1982. I was born in 1982 and First Blood came out that year, so it's an old franchise, but it's a good franchise, right? I mean, it's gone a wide variety of places from its original take on a Vietnam War veteran with PTSD being chased through the Northwest Hills by a crazy sheriff and who ultimately he kills no one. It's a very interesting movie. Well, one person died, but he threw a rock. No one was shot and killed. But then Rambo 2 comes along, and that one ends up taking him to where? The Middle East, or he fought the Taliban, or he worked with I forget. It was written by James Cameron, really over the top, really crazy. And then, of course, Rambo 3 and 2008's Rambo. Now, the one that came out in 2008 or 2009, I think should have been the final Rambo film, because to me, that was like the culmination of his character. He was living in Burma doing his own thing. He was sought out by missionaries who were hoping to get their friends back, and he took on a very, very, very violent regime and did it with gusto, violence, bullets, and blood. And this time around, it picks up a couple years, or well, a decade or so, really, after the events of the last film, where he goes back to his father's farm, and we don't know what happened. That was the whole point of the final of the last Rambo movie. He goes home to his father's farm in Arizona and hopes to just lead a quiet, simple life. And now we find him kind of leading that life, but unfortunately, it all goes awry when he finds out that a friend of his daughter went to Mexico for a party. She didn't come home. He travels to Mexico to try to find her, ends up getting caught up with some nonsense with the cartel. And if you watch the trailer, what it looks like is that they beat the crap out of him while he is looking for her. That's why it says they drew first blood, obviously trying to reference back to the original film. And then he lures them to his farm, where he basically goes full on Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone and turns it into a death trap. And that's what I'm most excited for. Now, if you look at the trailer, you see a little bit of things here and there involving underground tunnels. And apparently, according to one of the synopsises, it has a lot to do with sex trafficking. He ends up teaming up with a journalist whose sister went missing, and she's trying to find her, and that's going to be a big part of it. And of course, again, the finale is going to be the cartel coming through the tunnels, coming over the border, full-on weaponry, and going to his farm to try to kill him, in which case he will then be unleashing full-on Rambo at them. And this shot right here that you see is clearly from the end of the film. He goes walking up to somebody while pulling out the Bowie knife. He has been shot a couple times. You can totally see that he is wounded, but he doesn't care. That's determination. And that person who's on the other side of that stair is dead. Guaranteed 100%. This movie, though, the trailer, the teaser trailer, harkens back to the fall of 2016. This, to me, is flat out Logan. This is the Logan trailer, but for John Rambo. It doesn't have as iconic of a song as Johnny Cash doing a rendition of Hurt, but it definitely is. It's painting the picture that at the end of this movie, Rambo is going to die. That this is called Last Blood for a reason. Sylvester Stallone is in his 70s now, looking better than ever, I might say. But he's in his 70s now, and he is still kicking ass with these characters, but I think he wants this to be the last one, considering that the original pitch for this movie, and I'm not kidding you, and I should do a whole video maybe trying to break down what happened to this, but there was a movie pitched a couple years ago called Rambo the Hunt, in which case Rambo was This is true. This is the pitch. Rambo was brought in by, I think, a paramilitary group to hunt down a creature of unknown origins in Mexico. It's basically like Rambo versus the Chupacabra, or Rambo versus, a Wolverine, or whatever the Native American version of a werewolf is, Skinwalker, right? The Wendigo. It could be any one of those things. And that was, of course, based on a book that it was pitched from. But still, when they dropped the concept of Rambo the Hunt, I was like, do it. I want to see that. But I think I might have been the only one. I still would have bought tickets. Doesn't really matter. So this one clearly isn't that. but it is going to be having Rambo take on the Mexican drug cartel. And if you think about just who Rambo has fought over the years, being like the Middle East and going into Vietnam, taking on the Burmese government, and now taking on the Mexican cartel, he kind of fights America's battles for us, if you really think about it, right? If you really think about it, this dude has gone in and killed more people than famine. You know, this, if you could go back and compare the death count from the Old Testament to John freaking Rambo, Rambo would win with a lot more panache too. Screw your pestilence, plague, and locusts. He's got a 50 cal machete and a Bowie knife. That's all he needs. For sons be damned. However, the thing that has me most excited about this movie is actually the director. The director is Adrien Grunberg. Now, you may not know that name, and that makes a lot of sense. But a couple years ago, he did a movie called Get the Gringo, and this was kind of meant to be a Mel Gibson resurgence. This was a Mel Gibson movie that didn't really have a theatrical run. It went right to DVD. In fact, it went right to Netflix, and it was awesome. It's basically, think of the character from Payback. And that character then goes to a Mexican jail and does all the same kind of shady, duplicitous stuff to get what he wants, just to get out in that. And it was a great film. And it has a lot of style, a lot of humor, a lot of panache. And it's one that I recommend to anybody who likes those kind of films. So the fact that he's directing this movie and the trailer looks like it's going to be very much amping up the violence and the bloodshed and the action with the Rambo name, with Stallone having co-written the script and producing it and starring it, and it kind of being the culmination of the last 37 years of this franchise. I'm very excited to see what happens once the full trailer drops and we get the full story. It's really hard to do a breakdown of the teaser, so this is more of a review of the teaser versus basically why I'm excited for it. And so I do leave it to you, your thoughts, your opinions. What about this? Looks good. If anything, I want to hear your thoughts. Please thumbs up the video, subscribe, and share it around if you want, and get in on the conversation. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and well, peace out.